Commanders hire Dan Quinn to match with their new general manager, Adam Peters, to lead this franchise into the future.
The way that we live is not for everybody, okay? It's not, all right? Because we're going to run and put our bodies on people in a violent manner.
Whether the team is giving us the highest of highs or the bluest of blues, we'll cover it all here on Commanders Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So, this has been a 48 hours to remember. I'll never forget these last 2 days. And I've been overwhelmed with the amount of content that I've seen on the interweb as it pertains to this team. Jayden Daniels' performance on Monday Night Football, one for the ages, has shifted everything that I once thought about this team this particular season. And I told you it changed everything. But it didn't just change this season. If this is who he is, and again, I say if very loosely because I believe this is who he is. I am fully aware that there will be bumps in the road. I don't expect him to be perfect every single game. I do not expect this offense to go without punts every single game. But I think this kid is special. And what I've watched on Monday night was not an aberration. It's who he is. There's enough evidence of him being cool, calm, collected, poised, all of that. No movement is too big for him. He's unflappable. He's unfazed by 3rd and 7. He's unfazed by 4th and 2. He's unfazed that his teammates don't know where to line up. He's unfazed by an unblocked blitzer. This is who he is. Thank you. There's been so much positivity. I'm not accustomed to this. And I was overwhelmed in a good way. And I didn't think that that would be possible. There was so much out there for me to consume. I just kept stockpiling this stuff on my plate. And I just kept shoveling it and shoveling it and shoveling it. You would have thought I took a 50 milligram edible and there's just this bottomless pit. And I just can't get enough content. And the same things are being said over and over and over and over and over again by people I respect who haven't said anything nice about this organization in years, for some decades. And to a man, one of the things that was said over and over again is, I'm so happy for that organization and their fan base. And sometimes when you're going through what we've gone through, it feels like nobody else cares, right? Nobody else gives a shit about our plight. You guys suck. Your owner's the worst. Deal with it. We're going to go on to some teams that actually are worth a damn. But in watching this whole situation play out, these last 48 hours, there's been an outpouring of support for us as fans, right? Where they're like, hey, not only are we happy for Jayden Daniels and what a performance it was, we're happy for that organization, but damn it, we're happy for those fans. They deserve better, and they're finally getting what they deserve. Troy Aikman said it. Tony Dungy said it. And it's usually the older people that say it because they know what it was, what it can be, and what it's been, right? So it's amazing listening to everyone talk about it. Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and, Pat McAfee was talking about it on his show. And you're hearing all of these people, some of his peers, talk about, yo, that kid's special. That was a hell of a performance. I heard that I literally saw the evidence. Next gen stats. I'm not a big analytics guy, right? Next gen stats. And I told you, this is the best throw I've seen all season. I told you guys that. I said, go find me a better throw than the 30-yarder or however long it was to Terry on that third down to end the game. Go find me a better throw this season. Because you won't. Next gen stats say that throw to Terry McLaurin to end the Bengals and essentially leave them for dead. I don't think they're dead yet, but we left them for dead. When we left Cincinnati, they were on the ground, bleeding, begging for help. I don't know if the paramedics were called or not. I guess we'll find out in week 4 against Carolina. But when we left them, they were in pretty grave condition. They were pretty rough. And it was that throw that put them essentially on their deathbed. Next Gen Stats said he had a 10% chance to complete that pass. It's the lowest percentage of any throw that was completed this season. That was the degree of difficulty of that particular throw, with a blitzer screaming off the edge to ear hole you as you're throwing the football. And that's the end result, where that ball was placed. Mind you, pass interference was actively being committed as that ball fell into the arms of Terry McLaurin. Go watch the play again. I've watched it 50 million times already. It's pass interference. Still caught the ball because it was dropped in the bucket. That performance has changed everything. I went on NFC East Super Friends last night, and I was on one. I'm not going to front. I had a great time. They thought I was trolling last night. And to a degree, I was, but I was dead ass. Like, so many people, Okoye Media was like, hey, you better knock on wood. For what? I don't need to knock on wood. This kid's legit. He's the real deal. I don't need to knock on wood. That's how confident I am. I don't have to do the whole, hey, Louie, you better be careful. For what? If he's what I think he is, if that performance that I saw last night or 2 nights ago now, if that's legitimately who he is moving forward, the game has changed forever for us. We don't have to go back to where we just came from. I had a conversation with my buddy about maybe 2-3 hours ago. He called me up and he said, I watched the game the other night, and he said, man, he pitched a perfect ball game. He said, let me ask you this. Would you take CJ Stroud, or would you take Jayden Daniels? And without hesitation, I got my boy Jayden. And this ain't even on some, he's here now, I'm biased. No. And he said, me too. And before I could even spit out what my answer was going to be, why I was doing it, we said it together because of his legs. That added threat. CJ's a dog. CJ Stroud is a dog. And he's already gone through what we hope we can attain this season, winning the division, winning a playoff game, and allowing the organization to feel comfortable going out and going for it. We want that. We're only 3 games in. We're nowhere near that. But CJ Stroud ain't this. CJ Stroud is a lot of things, and he's damn good. But don't you understand listen to what I'm about to say to you. This is what makes Jayden different. And I was so wrong about his ceiling. If this shit that I watched on Monday is what he can be, the ceiling is, we can't see the ceiling. We can't see the ceiling. He can run like Lamar. He's not Lamar in that regard, but he can run like him. Okay. So he's got wheels that are unique. There are only 3 or 4 quarterbacks, a handful of quarterbacks in the league that can change a game with their legs, because on 3rd and 5, You have the angle, but they can outrun your angle, still turn. There was a 3rd down and 3 in the game, early in the game. You may or may not remember this one. There's a linebacker that has the angle on Jayden. Jayden turns the corner. He grabs his leg. Jayden spins, keeps his balance, walks up the sideline, gets 5 and gets out of bounds and gets the 1st down. There are only 2 or 3 quarterbacks, and I don't even know if Kyler Murray's turning the corner there. He's probably going to get pushed out of bounds. There's only a handful of guys, maybe 1 or 2, that are able to turn the corner there. And I think you know the 2 that I'm talking about. So he can run. I'm not saying he's Lamar. He can run like Lamar Jackson. He's got that kind of skill set. He's got the poise and the accuracy and the ability to take care of the football like C.J. Stroud. Remember, C.J. Stroud set the NFL record for most passing attempts to start a career without an interception. He just had another record he was working on in terms of not tossing an interception that was broken this past weekend against the Vikings. He does not turn the ball over. It is one of his most redeeming qualities. So he's poised. He takes care of the football. He hasn't turned it over yet. Hasn't really even been close other than the Zach Ertz throw. And I would say Ertz needed to stop backpedaling and catch the football. And Ertz, I don't know if you watched his mic'd up. He said, I didn't think the way he threw the ball, because he got hit. I don't think he knew Jayden got hit as he was throwing the football. That's why I kind of just laid in the air, right? It just was lofted. He said, the way he threw it, I thought I was wide open. I didn't know a defender was coming. That's why he just kept drifting and drifting and drifting. But he can be cerebral from the pocket too. And that's where he still got work to do. And he's just scratching the surface, right? Just standing in there. And we saw a lot of that on Monday, which was so encouraging. But here's the icing on the cake. He can get out of the pocket and shred you like Aaron Rodgers. Now, again, we need to see more of that, right? But we didn't even know that existed until Monday. So he's got all of these different components baked into one. And that's what makes him dangerous. You're seeing numbers like, hey, highest completion percentage in the first 3 games of a season since, and he's number 2 on the list. Number 1 is Drew Brees at 88.7. Jayden Daniels is at 88.6. Tom Brady's 3rd on that list. Mind you, Brady is in like year 12 on the list, and Brees is on like year 8 or 9 on that list. They're not rookies. That wasn't Chargers Drew Brees. That was Saints Drew Brees. That wasn't hand on head, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening, Tom Brady. That's, hey, I'm about to be the GOAT, Tom Brady. Our guys on the list now, and we can sit here and talk about, all these underneath passes. That's fine. What happens when you got a blitzer screaming down your outside off your right hand, game on the line, and I throw a 35-yard dot? Is that a lateral pass? Is that a wide receiver screen? How about a 55-yard bomb on the money to Terry McLaurin? Is that at the line of scrimmage? How about a 4th and 2 dime to Luke McCaffrey for 30 yards? Is that right at the line of scrimmage? It's not just short passes. He can't throw over the middle of the field. I've seen a lot of throws over the middle of the field in this young NFL season from Jayden Daniels. Can't throw on a move. I was guilty of that one. Hit Noah Brown right at the goal line. Hit Terry McLaurin on the side on a 4th and 2, 3rd and 2. Hit Zach Ertz on the sidelines when he was on one knee. Move the sticks. There isn't a thing this kid can't do. Not one thing that he can't do. Do you know what this means? I don't think you guys understand what this could potentially mean for us. Like, I sat watching that game over and I obsessed over that game. I obsessed over all the content that came from that game because I couldn't believe what my eyes were seeing. I couldn't believe this. I've waited my entire life for this. I've waited for this kind of quarterback, for this team. Now, again, it's 3 games. And I can't say out of the other side of my mouth, don't overreact. I've never seen that before, ever. Not in this jersey. And I kept watching the game over and over and over again. And I just kept saying, this can't be real. And then I would go watch and listen to this person talk about him. And I listened to this person talk about him. And I'd listen to this person talk about him. And then I'd listen to this former player talk about him. And this former quarterback and this person and that person. And they're all saying, no, this shit is real, bro. You got one of them ones. Take care of them. And you know what puts the cherry on top? The fact that if you look at the way this organization has handled Jayden Daniels from day one, they've got the right idea. They got it right. I'm looking at Caleb Williams, and if you watch the podcast and you know what I'm about to say, I won't get into the specifics because that's what the podcast is for. I've already done that today. I don't need to go down that road again. You want to hear that? Go watch the podcast. They're not handling Caleb Williams well at all. They've thrown that young man to the wolves. And you know, what's so funny is people just automatically, and this is what I talked about with Bryce Young, and, you know, Panthers fans don't want to hear it. He sucks. He can't do it physically. He's not able to do it. Okay, fine. I'll believe it when I see it somewhere else. I'm watching Sam Darnold have the start to his career of his life in Minnesota, right? I'm looking at Justin Fields, and Justin Fields is playing the way that some Bears fans felt like, hey, if we just give this kid a chance, this is what he could be. He's doing that in Pittsburgh right now. And he's only going to get better for the Steelers, by the way. He's only going to get better. And he's playing well. Sometimes you just need the right environment to nurture you, to develop you, to water you, to take care of you, to put you in positions to succeed. They didn't come in here. They didn't trot him out the day after draft party. They didn't put him up on banners and billboards. They didn't put him front and center and say, here's our savior. Save us, Jayden. They said, nah, we're going to bring you in here. We're not giving you the job. We know you're going to be the starter. We need you to earn it. We need you to come in here, put forth the effort, put in the work, gain the trust of your teammates, learn the system. We're going to tailor our system to your strengths. A lot of this shit you probably ran in college. Good. Now you're even more comfortable. We're not going to force a system on you. You know, we'll ease that in and we'll continue to feed you things as you go. But yeah, we're going to throw the wide receiver screen left, wide receiver screen right. We're going to throw the hitch. We're going to throw the comeback. We're going to throw another wide receiver screen. We're going to throw a running back screen. We're going to throw a middle screen. We're going to throw a screen, a boot action throwback screen, right? We're going to do all of these creative things, easy completions to get you. Remember his first throw? Remember his very first throw of his career? Think back to week 1 Tampa, right? Whoops. Uh-oh. Throws the ball 4 yards behind Brian Robinson Jr. Remember that? Seems like a distant 5 years ago, that throw does. Far cry from where we are now. But I only bring it up because it's the growth that we've seen in such a rapid amount of time. Week 1, I was crying about, hey, he's got to stand in there and he's got to throw the football. He's got to trust what he sees. Guys are running open and he's just got to settle down. I go from that in week 1 to week 2 saying, hey, this looks a lot better. Now I challenge you to get out of the pocket and remain a passer. Don't look to just tuck it and run every time. right? But we didn't punt. We didn't punt. And as that game went on, he stayed in the pocket more. He remained a passer. You get to week 3, and now he's comfortable in the pocket. Now, he was afforded a lot of time. And again, that's not going to happen when you play the Steelers with TJ Watt. That's not going to happen potentially when you play the Browns with Myles Garrett. He won't be able to stand back there and just chill. However, even when he was flushed, even when he was forced out of the pocket, he made throws on the move. We hadn't seen that in the first 2 weeks. There's incremental growth every single week, and it culminated in a week 3 performance for the ages. And I'm not, again, that's not hyperbole. The man went 21 of 23, 91.3%. It's the 5th highest completion percentage with a minimum of 20 attempts and 2 touchdown passes in the same game in NFL history. He had more total touchdowns than he did incompletions. And that final drive, I know I've said that a million times. I said all of that to say this. Right now, the way that I feel, and I got to see more, all right? Right now, this is fresh off of Monday night's performance. Keep that in mind. You know, this may not age well. I'm prepared to take on that challenge. Because the energy that I have right now, I don't give a shit. I'm so confident. I wouldn't trade him for any quarterback in the league right now. Argue with your mama or your daddy or your auntie or your uncle. That performance on Monday has changed not just the trajectory of this organization, not just this season, potentially. This has changed everything. Because if that's who he can be moving forward, that's league MVP type shit we saw on Monday. I digress. In other news, we heard from aforementioned quarterback Jayden Daniels, also head coach Dan Quinn out in Arizona. We'll talk about what was said there. We'll take a quick trip around the NFC East before we get to our first look at the Arizona Cardinals. But before we do any of that, you know how this works, okay? Don't act brand new on the kid. Let's get into this injury report. The first look at each team's injury report for the week heading into this week 4 matchup. And of course, we start with the good guys. And this list is a bit more robust every week. And, you know, this is what happens through the course of an NFL season. As the weeks progress, the list gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But Coach put me at ease. DQ put me at ease at his presser. We'll talk about that in a second. But a lot of DMPs. But again, quick turnaround. Today serves as Wednesday, first day of practice. But in all actuality, today is the normal Tuesday of a week. They shouldn't be practicing, and you shouldn't be having to issue an injury report. But obviously, we got the quick turnaround. So it's going to look like this week in particular. I don't like seeing Sam Cosmi on this list with an Achilles, but DQ didn't sound too concerned about it. Jamison Crowder, vet rest, obviously, older player, quick turnaround. You get it. Austin Eckler, not going to play this week. I think we all kind of figured that. I said yesterday, I don't expect him to play this week, and I wouldn't be shocked if he missed next week's game as well. But we're just going to take it 1 week at a time, and we'll see how it goes with him. But speedy recovery for Austin Eckler, because, boy, he is a difference maker. Clearly, he's a difference maker. Zach Ertz has had vet rest almost every single Wednesday this year, minus maybe week 1. Cleveland Farrell is going to be out as well. DQ said that already. So clearly his knee flared up. We talked about his knee last week. I was shocked that he played against the Giants because remember, the knee flared up at the end of the week. And so we weren't sure. He played in that game, hasn't played since. So he'll be out again. And they said, really, it's just being precautionary because they don't want to be yo-yoing him in and out of the lineup, try to rush him. We watched Ronald Rivera botch one of these situations with Curtis Samuel where they're so anxious. They're bungling the situation, trying to get him back. And it's, he's healthy. He's not healthy. He's healthy. He's not healthy. He's like, no, we're thinking long-term here. We want to get him back and go off, full systems go and not look back. So they're focused on Cleveland in week 5 to try to get Clee back, and hopefully he'll be ready then. Quan Martin, elbow, limited. Benjamin St. Juste, chest, limited. Emmanuel Forbes, thumb, full. I think he's going to go this week. And Johnny Newton, foot, full go. And I think he's all but, good at this point. I think he's fine at this point. So I'm not overly concerned. We'll see what Thursday brings. I would imagine that everybody on this list, with the exception of Eck and Farrell, will practice in some capacity tomorrow. And then Friday, I really think that we got a chance to have no one on the injury report comes Sunday, right? By the time we get to Friday and we get to game status, I'm looking for dashes all the way down because we already know Eck and Clee aren't playing. So those are the only two. I think everybody else should be good. So I'm feeling good, but we're going to see how the week progresses as time passes throughout the course of this week. Let's get to the ops, the Arizona Cardinals. And there's a bunch of notable names on this list, but much like I said for our team, I think most of these guys are going to play. Now, the big one there is Trey McBride in terms of guys that may not play. He's in a similar boat to Austin Eckler with a concussion, and he's probably going to miss the game. Quick turnaround. Well, not for them, but he probably going to miss the game, right? We'll see. All concussions are not created equal, so we'll see. Tonga dealing with a knee on the defensive line. We'll see if he's able to bounce back and play or not. And then everybody else is limited. Now, there's some big, heavy hitters, man. Buda Baker, Kelvin Beachum, Dennis Gardeck, and Marvin Harrison Jr. are all high-level starters for the Arizona Cardinals. And you could argue pound for pound, Buda Baker is their best player. Marvin Harrison Jr. is their most talented player. And Dennis Gardeck is by far and away their best pass rusher. Now, he's not going to be held out of this game for a finger injury, right? And Marvin Harrison with a quadricep, he should be fine. We'll see what happens. And Buda, same thing, quadricep. Sounds like, injuries. He left the game briefly against the Detroit Lions. And I'm not going to even hold you. I'm not even going to front. When he left the game, I was like, I hope he's all right. But I wouldn't be upset if he played the rest of this game and then whatever injury he left the game with, that shit starts to bother him and he's got to sit out again. I wouldn't be mad if he missed our game. He's not missing shit. I think everybody on this list, with the exception of the two guys that didn't practice, and I can't even tell you if Tonga's not going to practice with that knee. Trey McBride and his concussion might be the only guy that misses in this game. But we will see. So that's the injury report for both teams. Let's get to in other news quickly with the pressers. And we heard from both DQ and Jayden today. Let's start with DQ. He talked about a number of different topics. One, I'm going to get the injury situation out of the way. He said they needed to do right by Eck. Just go ahead and rule him out now. Let him get himself together. They're not really concerned about playing football. Just make sure that his well-being is taken care of. So, they'll reassess that next week and see where he is. But when you rule a guy out on Wednesday, we're not even going to worry about it, right? Same with Clee. Like, we're not even going to play that game. He's out. We're going to move forward with what we have. And so because you're out with Austin Eckler, now the question becomes, what are you going to do at running back? And he's like, we feel very confident in our group of running backs. We feel good about every single guy that we put on the field, and we think we got a deep group of backs, and he said, you know what I'm excited about? I'm excited about the opportunity for Nick, right? You're talking about Jeremy McNichols. And look, we've all seen the block on that Terry touchdown to end the game. That was a legendary block. Okay. That, again, I don't know if I've ever seen a running back take a defender off his feet like that and kind of lift him up and, turn him sideways and dump him, like that was crazy. And he had just gotten the game not too long ago. I mean, that was epic. It's like I'm really excited for his opportunity. Me, not so much. Not so much as a runner. I like him as a pass catcher, and I like him obviously now as a pass protector. Shit, he's earned his stripes there as well. So, and you could see on that play, I've seen that play at least 5 or 6 times. He had no idea what he was doing. Like he's right before the snap, he's asking Jayden, "Hey, what am I doing here?" And he just stepped up in the B gap and took care of business. So DQ's like, I'm really stoked to see what he does. He was asked about the defense and the rate of speed at which they're playing. Is it fast enough? And he's like, no, it's not fast enough yet. We're getting there. We're taking steps in that direction, but we're not there yet. That is, I agree with that. I thought they played a lot faster in this game. Still, it wasn't good enough. It wasn't nearly good enough, but every week there are less issues, but the same ones that exist that are troublesome are still there and they haven't been fixed, right? But we cleaned up the penalties, right? There were really no penalties other than the pass interference in the end zone. We cleaned up the busted coverages. There were no blown coverages in this game. Only guys getting beat one-on-one, right? There were no blown coverages, all right? The tackling is still an issue. The run game is still an issue, and we can't cover worth a damn. So those are the things that are apparent. Oh, and we don't get consistent pressure on the quarterback. Those are the things that are consistent, but, they're going to have to continue to work in the scheme, get more and more comfortable, and we'll just see what happens, right? But he talked about Jayden and, that type of performance and what it can do. And he's like, the thing that is so cool about Jayden is that none of this changes his approach. He's the same guy that he was prior to the game. You love that everyone's lauding and praising him and showering him with praise. And, we knew what this kid could be, and it's good to see it come to fruition, especially with the game on the line. But he's the same guy, right? Nothing's changed. He's back to work. He's ready to get after it this week, and that's why we love him, essentially. And that's part of why Jayden is so different, right? He talked about some of the things that they looked at as a staff and that they're going to have to continue to, get better at. But you're doing it while you're winning. And that's a thing that in this league you try and do, right? Is you try to find a way to have to improve, but do it while winning. It's easier to do it that way, right? And so he talked about that. He talked about them being out in Arizona, why they chose to do it. He said, in situations like this with the quick turnaround, it's just tough on your body when you're going, especially when you're changing time zones. You leave that game, you don't get home till late to, Monday, into early, it would have been early Tuesday morning. You recover, you rest, you turn around, you got practice Wednesday, and then you got to turn around and fly out on Friday. And it's just a lot. He said, instead of doing all of that, let's just come straight to Arizona. And they're at Arizona State right now. And he's like, we really appreciate Arizona State for being gracious enough to allow us to use their practice facility. And so they're out there. And yeah, it's hot. And he's like, we could go inside if we want. And obviously the Cardinals don't play outside, so they don't need to adjust to the elements. You know why I think this is also a really smart thing that they're doing is it gives them a chance to adjust to the time zone difference and allow their bodies to adjust, because it's tough when you go from East time zone to Pacific time zone. Like, that's a big deal. That's a 3-hour difference. So for them to go out there, give their bodies a chance to, shake off the jet lag and kind of adjust, get their sleeping patterns in order to really be able to give themselves the best chance. I think that's like this group has taken all the right steps. And so I can't be more thrilled for what they're doing. And I think that this thing has a chance to be really, really special. This season does. And this is another, step in the right direction, another button that I feel like they've pushed that is the exact right button. So I just think that when you look at all of the things that are being done, man, I just can't help but think another right button being pressed, another right button being pressed, another right button being pressed, another right button being pressed. He talked about the connection between Terry and Jayden, and he said, look, we see it at practice every day. I was never worried that this thing wouldn't come to fruition. We watch it out in Ashburn every day. We knew it was only a matter of time. So they weren't surprised by the connection finally happening and it looking the way that it did when it finally happened. He talked about two of the rookies in particular, Mike Samerstill and Luke McCaffrey. And he said, look, this is all about getting these guys prepared for later on in the season when we're really going to need them to show up. And, both are playing a hell of a lot already and contributing a hell of a lot already. And so at this point, he's like, we're trying to get them to the point where by the time we get towards the end of this season, they're no longer rookies. And they've seen enough, they've done enough so that these things don't phase them and they're ready to jump in the fire and we know we can count on them, right? And he's like, we're trending in that direction already with those guys. Talked about the offensive line and he's like, he's not surprised at how they're playing. I think a lot of people, thought that the offensive line was going to be this massive problem. I told you guys before the season, I didn't think so because of all of the different factors that you had to deal with, including Jayden's legs, the run game itself, the quick pass game, and, all of those factors. And then them just, it's an entire effort, right? It's not them individually because one-on-one, they're not going to win a ton of battles, especially specific guys on the line. They're going to win a bunch of one-on-one battles. But collectively as a group with the offense and the way plays are called and how we're going about our business and Jayden's legs as well and the threat of that run, you've got to respect all that. And you can't just rush willy-nilly up the field, right? So he really says, though, inside, and I agree, that combination, and he talked about this in the preseason. He said, look, I feel really good about Allegretti, Badass, and Cosme inside. Those three are playing really well. And if you look at where we've had the most success running the football, a lot of times it's right up that middle, or one of those guys is springing out one of the blocks. Allegretti had the kick out block on the Eck touchdown when Brian Robinson Jr. got some of those big runs. One of them, he ran up the middle. Nobody got through. It was kind of jumbled up. Nobody touched him. And he shuffled his way to the outside and then got, up the field for 40 yards. But a lot of that was, again, the interior protection and blocking. And so, the touchdown run, Tyler Biadasz cleared out the path for him to just walk in the end zone, right? So he talked about that as well. And they're feeling good about where they are right now. But make no mistake about it. This Arizona Cardinals team is legit. And don't let the 1-2 record fool you. They're dangerous. Just like I went into that game against Cincinnati thinking, hey, this 0-2 Bengals team is legit, and I expect their best effort, and I thought it was going to be enough to beat us, right? I didn't think we were going to go in there and win, and this is a tough one. Like, everything in me says Cardinals are probably going to bounce back this week, man. Like, who are we kidding? But there's a different energy right now. There's a different energy, but we'll see, right? Then you get to Jayden Daniels, and he's so humble, man. I just want him to just say, hey, you know what? Yeah, that was an amazing game, but that's not how he's wired. He's on to the next one. He's like, so are you hearing the noise? First of all, he's back at ASU for the first time since he transferred to LSU. So there were questions about, him coming back to the place where it all started. So there was a number of questions at the beginning and at the end of the press conference asking him about NIL and this, that, and the third, and his journey. And someone even asked him about some of the other players that are in the league right now and how they all started at ASU and reflecting on that. And so he talked about BA, which is Brandon Ayuk. He talked about Ricky, which is Ricky Pearsall, which is why he was kind of impacted when Ricky Pearsall got shot, because they all started at ASU. And Rachaad White, who he plays, it's funny because he's played against some of his teammates early in this season, right? Week 1, he played against Rachaad White. That's why they swapped jerseys. That's his boy from ASU. Obviously, Malik Neighbors in week 2. He played against it in Joe Burrow, guy that he came afterwards at LSU. So it's just funny that every week he's, and now in week 4, he's going back to where it all started, and practicing, at the facility for him where it all started at ASU. So he talked about that a bit, but, talking about himself and the Commanders and everything that's transpired over the last 48 hours, he was like, yeah, I hear what's going on. I'm hearing the praise from guys like Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers and, stuff like that. And I really appreciate that and the respect that they're showing me, and guys I looked up to, growing up, and, guys that I respect having those things to say about me. But, I'm on to the next game. I'm on to Arizona, man. I'm trying to do it again, essentially. And JP Finley's like, because he keeps saying, I'm on to the next game. That game don't matter no more, and JP's like, so what can get you to be excited? Like, what can get you to be, in the moment? And he's like, I'm on to the next game, bro. Like, every game is the same to me. Now, it's easy to say that now. I mean, I'm pretty sure you get to the playoffs, you get to the Super Bowl, something like that. It's not the same, right? Once the ball's kicked off, it's the same. It's football. But, it's different when you're playing in the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl. It ain't the same as a week 3 game, right? So, but he's like, bro, we on to the next. For us, it's a big deal. For him, he's like, all right, man, on to the next one. And I love that about him. He talked about just having fun, being unflappable. But, at the end of the day, I'm all about the team, what I got to do to help us win, and being locked in. And he's like, I'm ready for the next challenge, and Arizona is the next challenge. So he didn't even really want to talk about Cincinnati. He was ready to move on to the next game on the schedule. And I love that. And he talked about his connection with Terry, and he was like, look, we've been working, and so it was only a matter of time. I wasn't worried. And so you gotta love this dude, man. You gotta love Jayden Daniels and how he thinks, how his brain works, how he operates. And it's a part of why I think this kid has a chance to be one of them ones, right? It ain't just the physical gifts. It's not just the execution out on the field. It's not just his demeanor. It's also the way he goes about his business as a leader, and as the quarterback of the team, the guy that's supposed to come in first, stay late, all of that good stuff. He just carries himself in the right manner, man. How can you not love Jayden Daniels? So at the end of the day, let's talk about the NFC East real quick. We're at the top of the standings right now, along with the Philadelphia Eagles at 2-1. Big game in the division with the 1-2 teams behind us in the division, the Dallas Cowboys and the Giants on Thursday Night Football. The winner of that game is a half game back of first place. So barring what happens with the Eagles and with us on Sunday, they could be in first place, right? The winner of that game. So it's a big game, and it's an NFC East game. And in the way that I'm looking at this division, these games in the division are going to ultimately probably determine who wins this division, right? Because I don't see this being a year where, oh, okay, you 13-4, you 12-5, don't worry about it. Now, somebody's winning this joint at 10-7. If anybody wins it at 11-6, it'll be Philadelphia. But I see somebody winning this joint at 10-7. And every one of these division games matter and count. So this is a big one. So somebody's going to be 2-2. And you prefer it to be the Giants, to be honest with you, because what they're doing isn't going to be sustainable. You just know it. You know, Dallas at any point could try to turn it up. Again, their schedule gets rough. Could you imagine if they drop this game? What happens? Like, the media would freak out. Their fan base would lose it. The sky would be falling. And it's going to be tough to overcome it with what's coming down the pipeline schedule-wise for Dallas. And if you haven't looked at their schedule, I've gone through it multiple times. It's a doozy. You got to get this one if you're the Cowboys, and they probably will. But it won't be as easy as in past years, that's for sure. Meanwhile, the Eagles have the Buccaneers on the road. A.J. Brown didn't practice today. Neither did Devontae Smith. Lane Johnson was limited in practice today. Initially, he was said to have not practiced, but I think he was limited in practice today. But Mekhi Becton didn't finish the game against the Saints either, so they could be banged up. If they don't have either of their starting receivers, I find it hard to believe that they're going to go into Tampa and win. But after watching what Tampa just did against the Broncos, it definitely leaves me with more questions than answers. But I can also say with 100% certainty that the Eagles defense is nowhere near as good as the Denver Broncos defense. So there is that. But still, I have reason for concern with what Tampa Bay showed me in week 3 after looking, pretty good the first 2 weeks. So we'll see if they can find a way to take the Eagles down. But, I'm not overly concerned with what everyone else is doing, to be honest with you. I've always told you, if you just take care of what you need to take care of, if we take care of the things we need to take care of, then we don't have to concern ourselves with what. Look, I literally mean that because we're in first place. If we just keep winning, we stay in first place, right? Now, again, we're not going to win every game the rest of the season, but if you win more than you lose, you'll give yourself a chance. And I like our chances this season. And so we'll see what happens. Anyway, I digress. Let's take our first look at the Arizona Cardinals in this game. The Arizona Cardinals come into the game at 1-2, and they're a dangerous team. They're one of the highest scoring teams in the NFL. I believe they are the 3rd or 4th highest scoring team in the NFL right now. They've already scored 40 points in a game. They dismantled the Rams, and they're fully capable, right? This will be their 3rd consecutive home game of the season. They destroyed the Rams in week 2 at home, 41-10. Last week, they were at home against Detroit. Hard-fought game, lost 20-13 in a game that they did not stop the run at all. And I think if we went into this game against Cincinnati kind of saying the same thing, that we should be able to run the football. This is another week where we should be able to run the football. Now, we didn't have tremendous success running the football against Cincinnati, but we stuck with the run, and we kept them honest with the run. But make no mistake about it, you can't take everything away. Like, if you're going to make a concerted effort to stop the run and load up the box because Jayden Daniels is a threat to pull it out and read option and things of that nature, and you want to keep an extra man down in the box, cool. Well, then we'll throw the football like we did last week, right? You want the numbers to be in your favor from a box count, then we can take advantage of that in other areas, like we did going up top to Terry, passes down the field to guys like Luke McCaffrey and Noah Brown on a little post. So I like our chances from that standpoint. What does scare the hell out of me is Kyler Murray's ability to extend the play and make things happen. And I just see so many big plays for the Cardinals happening in this game. I'm so terrified of Kyler getting out of the pocket because, one, we don't get pressure, so he might not even have to leave the pocket. But should we? Because we can't get anybody on the ground, right? We barely got Joe Burrow on the ground twice. We couldn't get Daniel Jones on the ground. We got him once, and we didn't sack Baker Mayfield but once, I think. And again, it was a struggle. We missed him another 5 or 6 times. So those guys aren't Kyler Murray. So I shudder to think at what that's going to look like in this game. And once he gets out of the pocket and remains a passer, that's when things break down. That's when guys uncover, run up the field. I could see Marvin Harrison Jr. having a field day. We haven't seen a number one receiver that hasn't gone ape shit on us in ages. Just keep stacking the ones up and keep looking at the numbers just go through the roof. Another big day for one receiver. Jamar Chase over 100 yards. Didn't have a touchdown on the season. And all of that was done pretty much in the first drive, right? 45-yard touchdown, another touchdown later, well over 100 yards on the day, 2 touchdowns. That's what we do when we see a number one receiver. Malik Neighbors, same thing. Mike Evans, 2 touchdowns, same thing. Chris Godwin killed us on every third down, same thing. I expect Marvin Harrison Jr. to go ballistic on us. And that's what scares me the most in this game is a combination of James Conner, who is coming off of one of his worst performances in a Cardinals uniform. We can't stop the run as of right now. We can't stop the pass as of right now. We don't get sacks on the quarterback as of right now. So what do we do, to slow down Arizona's offense? I have the slightest idea. I wish I had an answer for you right now, but I don't. So because of that, I'm not sure how this goes. We may have to win another shootout here. And I'm really not comfortable getting into a shootout on the road in Arizona with Kyler Murray. It's really not something that I want to sign up for. I'm not afraid. Not with the way this offense is playing, not with who our quarterback is. I'm not afraid. Doesn't mean that I want to be involved in that type of affair, though. So they pose a lot of threats, a lot of different challenges. Budda Baker is everywhere. Dennis Gardeck, the last time we saw them, remember we played Arizona week 1 last year. Dennis Gardeck got to Sam Howell, forced a fumble, picked it up, and scored, right? This dude is a menace. All right. I watched him against the Rams have like 2 or 3 sacks in the game. I watched him last week get after Jared Goff a little bit. So this dude's a menace, man. He's like Max Crosby light, very light, but still, he's great value Max Crosby. More like Dollar Tree Max Crosby, but he's still dangerous. So this is going to be an interesting game. And, we'll see as the week progresses how I feel. As I'm on a high still right now. And by tomorrow, I think I'll be in the right frame of mind to start objectively. I can't wait to watch the film. I haven't done that yet from the Cincinnati game. But I'll be more, objective tomorrow in terms of as we go behind enemy lines. I'll be ready to lock in. Okay, how are we going to be able to get this done? Because it's a very daunting task right now. And despite only scoring 13 last week, Detroit is about that life on defense, and Detroit's about that in the run game in terms of physicality. And so this is going to be a tough one. I'll know that this season has a chance to really be like ridiculous if we go to Arizona and win, because generally we don't do that. Like, I think the last time we won in Arizona is week 1 of 2018 is my guess. And I don't know. In the last, let's call it 5 trips to Arizona, I'd love for someone to figure this out. How many times have we won? I know we won in 2018. Week 1, Adrian Peterson's first game, Alex Smith's first game, went over there and we destroyed those boys, beat them up good. Sam Bradford was their quarterback. We came home thinking, oh, this is going to be sweet. King's welcome with all these veteran stars, and nobody was at the stadium. The Colts showed up, probably had just as many fans at the game as we did. Darius Leonard was a rookie then, went off, had like 20 tackles and forced a fumble, and they came in, Andrew Luck and company came in and beat us. And I remember feeling like, oh shit, that's not good. I don't know how many times we go to Arizona and win, but it doesn't feel like it's often. I remember 2020 going there and getting our asses kicked pretty good. You know, Kyler Murray, we were down. I remember it like it was yesterday. The safety from the Giants got an interception, set us up in great field position on the first possession of the game, and Dwayne Haskins, God rest his soul, didn't feel backside pressure, gets hit, fumbles, and they boat raced us from that point. It was 20-0 at halftime. I think we lost that game 30-15, something like that. That was 2020. I think that was the last time we were in Arizona. We don't win there very often, is all I'm saying. So, and I don't think we've ever beaten Kyler Murray. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think we've ever actually beaten Kyler Murray. So, this is going to be a very, very challenging game, to say the least. But I digress. Let's get to social media maneuvers. I'm a Midnight Marauder. Y'all know what it is. Shout out to the mob. Stand up. We in the building. And also a big, big, big shout out. Big ups to my Patreon supporters. Can't thank you guys enough for your contribution. Thank you guys so much. So let's get to the comment section and see what you guys have to say. Your mom's favorite player. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Your mom's favorite player. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, Lou, over the last 3.5 years, I may have spent more time with you in my ears at work than I spend with my family. LOL. That, I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but I do appreciate the support and the dedication, man. I can't thank you enough for that. Seriously. I'm heading to Arizona from Washington State, and I know the assignment. Let's effing go. Well, if you know the assignment, I don't have to tell you what it is, but you will receive the briefing, right? All right, you will receive the classified documents. And again, you know the assignment, you know what needs to be done, to go out and execute. All right. Really appreciate you, your mom's favorite player. Christopher McLaurin, my guy. C-Matt, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Chris, writes, hey, Lou. What's going on, Chris? Hope all is well with you and the family. Likewise. I looked at the Eagles' schedule. We need at least 10 to win the division. Here's how: split in the division, so go 3-3. Cincinnati, win. All right. Win one of the next 2 games. Beat Carolina, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Tennessee, and Atlanta. Thoughts? Look, it doesn't have to be in that order. It doesn't have to be those specific teams, but I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to pick off the games that seem the most winnable, right? But as we just saw going, it's like, who had us? Did you have us going to Cincinnati winning in week 3? And it didn't matter that they started 0-2. That's what they do. That's their move, is 0-2. They've started 0-2 5 out of the last 6 years. It's what the Bengals do. It's why they played so well on offense. They're comfortable in that space. And we still went in there and won. Nothing is out of bounds at this point. Even the Ravens game that I think most of us don't think, and I still don't think we're going to win, doesn't seem that far-fetched that we could go in there and beat the Ravens, right? I'll be watching them this Sunday night against the Bills because they're coming up here shortly. I think there's week 6 after Cleveland, right? And before you know it, it's time for the Ravens. So I'll be keeping my eye on the Ravens and see what the hell they're doing. And it's easy to pick off wins now, but I'm going to just take them one at a time. But here's the deal. I think you're right about how much it's going to take to win the division. It's going to take 10. No one's winning this division in single digits. That's not where this division is. Philadelphia is too talented for that. And even though I don't think Dallas is going to win 10 games this year, I'm adamant they're only going to win 9 or 8 or 9, right? You're still going to need to win 10 to win the division. That said, you want to beat as many NFC teams as you can possibly beat because that's one of the tiebreakers. Common opponents, NFC opponents, and then your divisional record. Those are all things that are going to come into play. I would tell you that you'd need to go 4-2 in the division. You're not winning the division at 3-3. You're not winning the division. You're going to need to sweep the Giants and split with both Philly and Dallas, or, sweep one of them. And if you don't win the next Giants game, so be it. Whatever. You need to end up with 4 wins in the division, though, if you want to win the division. Because I assure you that whomever wins the division is going to be 4-2 in the division or better. Like, the Eagles aren't going to lose to the Giants. I just don't see that happening. And we're probably not going to sweep them, and Dallas isn't going to sweep them. So my guess is that at a bare minimum, they're 4-2 in the division, right? So you want to win the division, you're going to have to win 4, not 3. So that'd be the first discrepancy. Winning one of the next 2, I agree. I said you needed to win one of the 2 road games here. We already got one. Now we're playing with house money, right? Listen, when the schedule came out, I had us at 2-0 to start, and then I had us losing 4 straight games before we won again. Clearly, that is not what happened. We didn't beat Tampa in week 1. Now we've won 2 straight. And who's to stop us from winning again here or against Cleveland? I didn't have us beating Cleveland at home. Right? So Cleveland, they stink. And I'm going to be disappointed if we don't beat them. They're not good. But again, one game at a time. My focus is on Arizona, but it would look something like that. I don't know what Atlanta's going to be this season, but I think they're going to be good. I still think that's a good football team. I would have much rather gotten after Atlanta early than late. They'll probably have a lot more. If they're healthy, they'll be probably playing with a lot more confidence and momentum late in the season. I would have rather gotten the Bryce Young version of Carolina than the Andy Dalton version. But who's to say that Andy Dalton stays healthy? Who's to say that Andy Dalton continues to play well, right? We'll see. You just don't know what's going to happen with some of these games. It's almost impossible to know, because you don't know. It's too far in the future. But it's you can get to 10, but you're gonna have to your point. This is the last thing I'll say on that. You're gonna have to win the games that you are quote unquote supposed to win, especially if you're at home. And you're at home against Chicago. You're at home against Tennessee. You're at home against Carolina. Those are games that you feel like you need to win. You're at home against Cleveland. That feels like a game you need to win, especially if we don't win this one against Arizona. OGJ Command. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. OGJ Command. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, "Me too, Lou. You can change the name and the owner plus the coach, but this shows it takes a superstar to change the team, the conversation, and the legacy." All of that stuff is so true. Like, we could have new ownership, which we do, and he's great, and they're great. You can have a new GM, and he's great. You can have a whole new front office, and they're great. And I love all of those guys that they've added to the mix. And you can change a ton of the personnel, and they have. And you can change the coaching staff, brand new head coach, all new coaches for the most part, maybe 2 or 3 holdovers like Tavita Pritchard, Bobby Ingram. But for the most part, they've turned over the entire, staff. Ryan Kerrigan's still here. But they're not a lot of guys here from the last regime, right? And I love the staff that they've assembled. But when it's all said and done, you need that transcendent player if you're looking to hit it big. You need that guy that's going to change the face of your franchise. Every team that we talk about being one of the best in the NFL that has a chance to win the Super Bowl, nobody's got a chance to win with Andy Dalton at quarterback, or you don't have a chance to win with Gardner Minshew as your starting quarterback or Jacoby Brissett as your starting quarterback. Hell, you're not even winning the Super Bowl with Tua Tagovailoa as your quarterback. Who are we kidding? The teams that we talk about every year as Super Bowl favorites, the Bills and the Chiefs and the Ravens, because they've got that type of quarterback. The 49ers are the only team because Brock Purdy isn't considered in that group, but he's played extremely well, but they've got an extraordinary team and roster around him. But I think Brock Purdy deserves a lot more respect than he gets. You know, I really, truly do believe he deserves a lot more respect than he gets. But even with what the Vikings are doing right now, do you think the Vikings are going to win the Super Bowl? Love Geno Smith. You think Seattle's winning the Super Bowl with Geno Smith at quarterback? Nah, right? Like, you need one of those dudes. And I'm not telling you that Seattle can't. I'm not telling you that Minnesota can't. It's just highly unlikely. You need one of those guys, man. You need one of them. You need one of them ones. I think we might have it, man. I think we might have one. All bets are off if he is one of them ones. Mr. HTTR, thank you for being a member for 21 months. Who writes, these clown-ass national pundits switched up quick. Hashtag HTTC. Oh, yeah. I mean, but I can't blame them. You know, I don't blame them. We've never given them a reason to believe, right? So I can't be upset that they didn't believe in what we were trying to build here. They needed to see proof that, hey, it really is different. I mean, hell, a lot of y'all were like that. Now, I'm not specifically talking to you, but if I'm talking to you, then I'm talking to you. You know who you are. When I would say it feels different because it is different, and you would tell me it's not different, Louie. Week 1, we got destroyed by the Bucs. It's the same shit, Louie. So a lot of y'all didn't believe. So, I mean, for some, it's hard for you to point, and I'm not talking to you, Mr. HTTR, unless I'm talking to you. It's hard for you to point the finger unless you're willing to point the thumb too, right? Because for a number of fans, I know, I heard from a lot of them that it ain't different. It's the same shit. So, Christopher McLaughlin, my guy Chris, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. My guy C-Matt writes, hey, Lou, 3 questions. 1, how do you see the run game being different with Austin Eckler out on Sunday and why? 2 and 3, what are your thoughts on Frankie Louvu and Bobby Wagner's performances so far this season and why? I don't see the run game really changing all that much. The same runs they do with Austin Eckler, they can do with Brian Robinson. And they're going to give the ball to Jeremy McNichols, and they're going to give him an opportunity. And again, it may not look as dynamic and all of that good jazz, but they're going to run the same. It's not like they got specific plays for Austin Eckler, and now they got to scrap those plays in the run game. I expect it to look just the same, right? Nothing changes. And you just insert Jeremy McNichols. And all I ask McNichols to do is don't turn it over, right? I'm not asking for him to do anything extraordinary. If he makes a play, hip, hip, hooray for him. I'll be excited and ecstatic. And I'll eat my words because I'm not a big Jeremy McNichols fan, as you guys know. I love him on special teams. He had a big hit on special teams. I love him in the pass game as a pass catcher. He's earned my respect there. But as a runner, I don't think he has great vision nor feel for, where to cut, when to press and stick his foot in the ground or press. All right, I'm going to take it outside. He just kind of seems like I'm going to just try to put my head down and get what I can get type runners. And he doesn't run the daylight. It seems like he runs to contact. But long as he doesn't fumble the damn football, he's all right by me, right? As far as Frankie Louvu and Bobby Wagner, they've been as advertised. I will admit, I thought Frankie Louvu would have made a few more plays by now. Sacks, I thought he would have had 2 or 3 sacks by now, and impactful, forced fumble, interception, something like that by now. But He's what I thought he was. He flies around. He's like a Tasmanian devil. He's everywhere, and he's ubiquitous, and I love it. Bobby Wagner is exactly what I thought he was. He's a tackling machine. He's a general on the field, gets everybody lined up. A lot of times he knows what's coming before it happens. It's just, can I get there in enough time? Has he lost a step? Sure. He's not the same Bobby Wagner he was 5 years ago, but I wasn't expecting that. He's still the guy that can amass over 100 tackles, and he's going to do that again this year. Assuming health, he's going to do that again this year. So he's been everything that I thought he was going to be for this football team. So I've been very, very pleased with the progress of that position as a whole. Now it's about getting more out of the other positional groups, getting more out of the corners, getting more out of the defensive line, right? JLG, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. JLG writes, so what's the verdict on JD5? Are we crowning him? Is he our franchise QB? I have to say that I want to see him finish the season healthy before I can be sure of what we're witnessing. And that's not an unreasonable request. I'm not telling you that I can see the future in terms of his health. I'm not worried. But that's just my nature in general, right? Unless you give me a reason to be worried, right? And I've already told you that when guys come out of the draft, when someone says he's a guard, but he's played tackle his entire life, I'm not going to just say, because everybody else says he's a guard, oh, he's a guard. I'm going to say, I'm going to give him a chance to be a tackle until he gets here and the staff says, no, he's a guard. Oh, okay, cool. He's a guard, right? But if they put him at tackle, I'm going to give him a chance to play tackle, right? Unless I watch the tape and I'm like, yeah, no, he can't play tackle. He's got to kick inside, right? Like, generally, until you give me a reason to not believe, to not be confident in your abilities to do something, I'm not going to question it, right? I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. So I talked about the offensive line. Everybody thought they were going to be this sieve and they were going to be this and they're going to be that. And I'm like, I don't see that happening because of all of the other factors that you have to take into consideration, right? Until they prove to me that they're this sieve, they're not, right? And I could go on and on and on about different things. One of the few things that I was nervous about two things in particular going into the season: cornerback and place kicker. And both of those fears have been realized. Okay. We can't, and I was somewhat nervous, but I thought we'd have better production, but I was somewhat nervous about our edge rushers. I've been very disappointed with our defensive tackle play, right? We've gotten next to nothing from a playmaking standpoint, or even just an impact on the game, because I understand that not every, defensive tackle's game is going to be predicated on the numbers they put up, but you can still feel the impact by how they were able to affect the game. We're not even feeling the presence of the defensive tackles right now, right? So I'd be lying to you if I said, the defense, I was clearly wrong about the defense, but Jayden Daniels is giving me no reason to believe that he can't start and finish the season. And until I'm otherwise notified, that's not even in my mind. But you damn right he's QB1. I mean, what kind of a question is that? Now, are we crowning him? It depends on who you ask. It's a small sample size. I'm just telling you, I've never seen a performance like that from a rookie quarterback, not on this team. And Robert was dynamic in his rookie. He never had a game like that. And we watched Robert do some extraordinary things. That Dallas game in that first half against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, are you kidding me? That was a game where you went, wow. Like, Jayden's Monday night game was Robert's Thanksgiving game. You see how long it took Robert to do that? Like, Robert in the first half of that Cowboys game, you went, oh my God. What am I watching right now? Is this really happening? That's when you probably knew, oh shit, he could be one of them ones. That's week 12. he did that in, right? Jayden did it in week 3. So, yeah. Until otherwise notified, yes, I'm sold. I'm sold. And it's not just the performance in this game, it's everything else too. Everything that we heard, it's come to fruition. The work ethic, the humility, right? The leadership qualities, the unflappable nature, the poise. We've seen it. We heard it all off season, and now we've seen it in our face, live and in color. So it's all of those things coupled with the wheels and the accuracy and the ability to take care of the football and the ability to throw the deep ball. Remember, we talked about Sam, how one of his best traits is his deep ball. And then he gets here and he throws this flat ass deep ball and can't hit the shit to save his life. And then we get into this thing, and Jayden's one of his specialties is the deep ball. And we go week 1 and he overshoots Terry by 4 yards. And then his first deep ball to Terry is like 20 yards away from him. You're like, what the was that? And we're like, and you got fans panicking. Uh-oh. And then he calmly delivers dime after dime down the field. So, yeah, I'm all in. I've pushed my chips to the center of the table. There's no going back for me. But I can't tell anybody else how to operate. If you need to see him get through a season healthy, stand 10 toes down in that. Stand firm on that. Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Fat American writes, have you had a chance to check out Newton? Thoughts? Not from this game. I haven't watched the film at all. So that's probably going to take place after this stream, more likely than not. So we'll be able to check him out together. Now, we watched him last week. I told you I liked some of the things he did last week. I thought his movement skills looked good. But I got to actually physically sit down and watch. So we'll be doing that here shortly. Lang Hughes, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Lang Hughes writes, the linear improvement from week 1 to 3 is insane. Talk about it. I just mentioned that at the top of the show during our lead story, how he went from week 1, he's not doing this, he's not staying in the pocket, he's not seeing the field well, he's got to cut it loose, this isn't college, to week 2, okay, he's staying in the pocket more, he's trusting what he sees a little bit more, but he's still tucking and running, he's not looking to be a playmaker out of the pocket, he's got to remain a passer even after he breaks the pocket, to week 3, he's in the pocket, he's decisive, ball's coming out, it's accurate. He's hitting the deep ball. He's leaving the pocket, but not just as a runner. He's leaving as a passer. And you're like, just 2 weeks ago, he wasn't doing any of this. And now he's doing everything? And we're just scratching the surface, right? We're just getting started. It's insane, Lang Hughes. Tony P56, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Ron's plan. Ron's plan. This was Ron's plan all along. To be mediocre for 3 years, and then in that final year, bottom out, lose enough games for us to get Jayden Daniels. You guys just didn't see the vision. Shout out to Ron Rivera for instituting Ron's plan and getting us to where we are right now. Tony P56, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, I got so many calls from friends and that are fans of other teams about JD5 and its team. This is new, and I don't know how to feel. Embrace it. You know, I saw so many Commanders fans and Redskins jerseys and hats and shit. So many people dusted off their jerseys and wore their shit with pride on Tuesday. Like, almost felt dirty. Like, where your ass was at when we was taking attendance, right? When we was taking attendance in the classroom, right? Not the bathroom, the classroom. Where your ass was at? Right? Where your ass was at when we was going through the struggle? But I've always said this to y'all. Not everybody is down for the cause when shit gets that bad. They need a break. And I'm all about mental health. And sometimes you're just like, you know what? I just don't have the bandwidth to deal with their bullshit. I'm out. I always say, hey, when this shit gets better, you're more than welcome to come back. You're still a part of the family. I ain't seen you in years. That don't mean when you come back, we can't just chop it up and pick right up where you left off. It's like you never left. And I saw a lot of people rocking their shit that I know they ain't had that shit on in ages. I'm like, bro, whose jersey is that? 86? Irving Fryer. Like, no, I'm playing. Like, I saw a lot of old heads with their shit on, and I'm like, I ain't even know you was a Redskins fan. I ain't even know you was a Commanders fan. I done ran into you 15 million times. So I get it. I understand. 2012 RG3 was different because he still needed to grow, but JD5 is almost ready now. And you got to remember, this man played a lot of college football. You're seeing this shift in how teams operate in terms of what they're looking for. Look, a transcendent talent is a transcendent talent. If a guy plays 2 years of college ball, redshirted 1 year, and he's ready to go, you're going to take him, right? But teams want the guy that's played 3 years as a starter, 4 years as a starter in college, and now he's ready, right? He's seen enough football. He's played enough football. And, yeah, like Quinn Ewers, like if he can stay healthy, he's already dealing with an injury this year, but played a lot of college football. And it's guys like that I think they're going to be looking for because they translate well to the next level. So we'll see. David Brown, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Dave writes, "What up, Lou? What's up, Dave? I am no longer worried about the offense, but I have no faith in the defense to bail us out of any games. You and me both. Excuse me. You and me both. It is a total role reversal of what I thought things would be like this season. It was the direct opposite. Defense is going to give us a chance, keep us in ball games. I'm not sure about special teams and the offense, but the defense will give us a shot. Well, I couldn't be more wrong about that. Defense is a sieve. It's terrible. It's trifling. And the offense has to bail us out. And special teams, right now, our special teams is a net plus. We've got a kickoff return to set up a touchdown, field goal kicker that won us a game with 7 field goals. He made all of his kicks in the last game as well. And so the only negative on special teams is week 1 with the 2 missed field goals. So I would say I got zero confidence in the defense right now, but I got all the confidence in the world in my offense and special teams. JLG, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, double up. I think that's a double up. Am I the only one that wants to see the Giants get put away early? Looking at their schedule, I could easily see them starting the season 1-6. I don't have any fears of the Giants getting hot. Why would you be concerned with them? Right? Like you want them to beat Dallas. If you think that they can be 1-6, then beat Dallas, get to 2-2, and then they could lose the next 4 games. If you think they can go 1-6, what's one win going to do in the grand scheme of their schedule? Beat the Cowboys, knock them down a rung, and then you can go on your losing streak after that. I'm pretty sure you won't get too much support for your theory of, hey, I want the Giants out of the way. No, the Giants aren't in the picture. Who's afraid of the Giants? we just talked about if you're going to do any damage in the division, you got to win in the division. We've already beaten them once. Again, they could beat anybody on any given Sunday, right? But the likelihood is if they beat Dallas, that's a statement. But I think it's more of an indictment on Dallas than it is the Giants are just exponentially better. But you'd have to give them credit too. Like, it's not just Dallas's doing. You'd have to say, hey, the Giants are much better, right? But you'd also have to say, hey, Dallas isn't what they once were. And none of us think they're what they once were, but that could change very quickly. That could change very quickly. For one, I can't speak for anybody else. I, for one, want Dallas to lose. They're more of a threat to us in the division than the Giants are. So I'll just go with that. Duncan Wright, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Duncan, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, writes, hey, Lou, as you know, I'm an Eagles fan. No, you're not. Stop lying. And you'll get no props from me. Here's why. How the heck does a tackle receive an illegal catch for a TD? Tell me. Because he's tackle eligible. You know why he caught the touchdown. Stop acting like you don't know. You're really a Commanders fan. We had this discussion already. All right? Stop it. We know the truth. You know the truth. GT7. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, feeling confident. I love it, GT7. Lou, from a defensive perspective, we just can't be in man coverage and need to stop the run. Feeling real confident, Lou. As a wise man says, it feels different because it is different. I think we need to play more zone, and they did. If you watch the game, 3rd and 10, that crucial 3rd and 10 I talked about, they were in zone coverage, and T. Higgins ran a simple, in cut, a dig route, was wide open. Like, I don't mind them playing zone, right? But we got to play tighter zones if we're going to play zone. I would much rather them play zone, to be honest with you, than man, because clearly we can't play man coverage against the elites. Maybe we can get away with it against subpar or lesser receivers, but against the best of the best, we can't play man coverage. Can't do it. So, and I think with guys like Forbes and Samer still, I think they're better in zone anyway when they can have zone eyes, keep QB's eyes, and attack the football. I think they're better in that space anyway. So, we'll see. We'll see what they decide to do. But we definitely got to stop the run better. That's an understatement for sure. Swaggy P, been a member for 23 months, almost at that 2-year Annie, who writes, all I have to say is after that win is feels good. Yeah. Does feel really good. For me, I was overwhelmed with the amount of support and just the sheer joy that a lot of people had for us. Like, damn, y'all deserve this. Because I think a lot of people realize this ain't just one game. Like, this dude is steadily improving. And, on the Super Friends stream last night, they tried to downplay the win as if the Bengals are some garbage 0-3 team now that, they ain't had no win. Y'all beat a 0-2. Bro, stop it. Like, we're not going to do that. We're not going to treat the Bengals, and that's why I brought up the Ravens. Like, we're not going to treat the Bengals and the Ravens like they're an ordinary 0-2 team, because they're not. We're not going to do that. And then I had to take it a step further. None of y'all would have did what we just went and did. None of y'all. Now, I don't know if any of your defenses is giving up 33 and Jamar Chase is going ape shit and Joe Burrow is looking like Joe Burrow. I don't know if that's happening too. I don't know if you need to score 38 to win. But if you need to score 38 to win, ain't none of y'all doing that shit. And ain't none of them saying nothing when I said it either. I was on 12 last night. And I meant every word of it. GT7, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. My God, GT7 writes, Lou, crazy question. Are we witnessing JD's floor? I don't know. I can't say that that's the floor, man. The floor, if that's the floor, we got a Hall of Fame quarterback, right? If he gets anywhere remotely close to his ceiling. If this is the floor, then we got a gold jacket. When's the last time we had that conversation about a player, right? Again, we're 3 games in. I don't want to talk crazy. I don't know if this is the floor, but I think he's going to be a really good player. And so if he doesn't get any better than what we saw against Cincinnati, and that's as high as it gets, we're in good hands, right? You take that performance every single Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Thursday, and some Saturdays, right? The occasional Friday, I guess now too. Hard to say we're witnessing the floor. That's a tough statement to make, because if it is the floor, that'd be insane if that's the floor, right? Duncan Wright, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, yesterday you were dancing at the 38-minute mark while Bad Dog and Lord were having a serious discussion. Lou, you don't know bad, but it's coming. I was dancing because it ain't nothing but a Jayden party. Ain't nothing but a Jayden party. They ain't know about that. They ain't know nothing about that. They ain't know that my QB is a rider. My QB is a rider. They don't know nothing about that. Let them have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? They don't know nothing about that. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Big Money Sonny writes, Lou, only 3 teams left in the Survivor. Sheesh. 2. Only 2 people left in the Survivor pool, if my calculations are correct. Just 2. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm pretty sure it's just 2 people left. That's it. B-Rad, the craziest Survivor pool I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like it. That's to show you how many upsets we've had and how many underdogs have covered and outright won in this young NFL season. It's crazy, right? B-Rad, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. B-Rad writes, sure hope Kingsbury sticks around. I mean, I'm not, my brain ain't even working like that right now. I'm gonna just enjoy, like I said, just enjoy the ride. I told y'all that before the season started. Just enjoy this ride. This shit is, I'm having a blast right now. I can't speak for anybody else. We 3 games in, and I am absolutely enjoying myself way more than I thought I would through 3 weeks. I am having a blast. Just enjoy it. Like, don't worry about if Cliff is leaving in 2 years or any of that. Just enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. GT7, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB once again. Writes, Lou, I rewatched the game and I can't believe I didn't say, damn, come on, Wiley, once. Also, Coleman is maturing. Thoughts? I got to watch the tape. DQ said yesterday, though, that the arrow is trending up for Coleman. I've heard nothing but good things from people talking about Coleman from this game and his performance. I haven't watched yet, so I got to formulate my own opinion. But I said this about Wiley. It's very hard to forget that Andrew Wiley is your right tackle, but in watching Monday's game, I literally forgot that Andrew Wiley was our right tackle, and that's pretty hard to do. It's not many games you go through and you say, damn, Wiley, man, shit. Not one time. Not a he didn't even commit a stupid ass penalty. You know he's good for one of those. A false start, a hold in, too far down the field, something. Nothing. You know, Wiley was on his best behavior. And that's the one thing I can say. When you take the veterans on the road in those big stages, bright lights, they know how to act. They know how to conduct themselves. It's usually the young boys that don't know how to act when you take them out into those environments. They get stage fright, they look around and they see those bright ass lights and that big ass stage and they're like, oh shit. Luckily enough for us, we drafted a bunch of dogs that played at big time programs that they're not fazed by the big stage. Jayden was at LSU, right? Johnny Newton played Big Ten football. Mike Samer still won a national championship. He just won a natty, right? Ben Sinnott played in the Big 12. Like, these dudes, they've seen big-time football, right? Brandon Coleman just played in a national championship game 2 years ago. So, like, they're not fazed by this stage, and you love that, right? Let's just hope that this continues. I'd love to say it will, but trust me, TJ Watt is coming at some point. Next week, Myles Garrett is coming to town. Hell, Dennis Gardeck is a problem, and we see him this week. So I'm not gonna get too excited yet. Let's see how they do when the real big dogs show up. Excuse me. The Washington Chef. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. The Washington Chef writes, hey, Lou, I've been listening to the Arizona Cardinals media, and they're talking about how this game is going to be easy. I mean, I hope they are. I don't care how they feel. Like, I think the Bengals thought that we were gonna come in there and lay down for them, right? So, you know, hey, look, it's a college offense. They don't ask him to do much. Cliff Kingsbury is the offensive coordinator, right? Yeah, it's a nice little cute college offense. You know, he'll throw it down the field a lot of intermediate throws, short, intermediate stuff. Yeah. So, you know, let's hope Arizona falls into the same trap. That defense is trash. Let's hope they're not watching any offensive film whatsoever, and they're focused on just how bad this defense is, and they think they're going to score 800 points and beat us. And they have no idea that we're capable of scoring 801. Let's hope that that's the case. Amaro Delcid, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, hey, Lou, hope fam as well. Likewise. Correct me if I'm wrong, but hasn't JD5 been hit hard one time against New York, and after he's been smart? Hit the like button. He said, let's hit the like button. Y'all heard the man. Public service announcement. Hit the like button. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to LouieTeeNetwork for more great content. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Almost 600 of you guys out there, and we still haven't hit 200 likes. Come on now. We are better than that, right? So, I mean, he got rocked a couple of times against the Bucks. Helmet flew off. I mean, the helmet flying off makes it look a little bit worse, but those were some good shots. I don't think he really took any big. You know, Aikman tried to make it seem like the one run he had on that 3rd down and 2 that he got the first down on. He was like, he had to take the hit there. You know, he knew where the first down was, but still, that's the kind of hit you don't want him to take. And I'm like, is he a football player, man? We good. Yeah, we good over here. You know, he really had the one hit was the Giants hit. Yes, that's the one where I don't want him getting lifted off of his feet like he got lifted off his feet, driven into the turf. He had a helmet put right in his ribs. I was scared he had broken a rib. I was so relieved when he took the water, right? And I was like, yo, keep the camera over here so I can see. Because, you know, they like to show the pan shot of him and then go back to the action on the field. I was like, no. I need to make sure he ain't spitting up blood. That's why they gave him the water. He squirted it. He spit it out, did it again, and it was no blood. I was like, all right, we good. He just got the wind knocked out of him. We good over there. I think he's fine. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Metaphor writes, breaking, Tress demanded trade to team that punts. It's funny you bring him up. I saw him have a little media scrum today in which he talked about, you know, it being different. Like, you know, it's funny. I've been talking about how different everything was, and now everybody's talking about how different everything is. And Tress is like, this is different. And, you know, hell, they started 2-0 last year, but it didn't feel like this. He's like, the energy that DQ brings and how forthcoming he is and how he's able to kind of get the message to everyone. And he's like, it's just a different environment, man. Like, and I think Tress felt the love when he made that tackle against the Jets in the preseason game. Like, it's just different for everybody. But, you know, the vets that have been here that have seen it, I bet you Jonathan Allen ain't talking that trade shit now. He want to be a part of this shit. I don't know what he's saying because I know he's got that spot every week with the junkies. I don't know what the hell he's saying. But I know he sees that, hey, I think we got something in 5. Now I want to be a part of this shit. You know? And eventually, I think they're going to start making plays, Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen. I'm not backing off of this defense getting better. I just don't see them getting better to the point where we can win games off the strength of our defense. That ship has sailed for me. But do I think, like, in my mind, I'm like, we can't be this bad all season. Can we? Some of y'all are like, yeah, you're damn right we can. I think we're going to get better, man. We're going to improve as this season progresses, but it's hard to watch right now, for sure. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, my guy. Big Money Sonny, right? Lou, real talk. Last 2 weeks, I rocked the Wild Goose. Well, then you know what you got to do the rest of the season. What is there to talk about? Let the goose loose. You know what it is. Warn the town, the goose is loose. You already know what it is. Frank Brown, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Frank writes, yo, what's up, Lou? What's up, Frank? Man, what a time to be a Commanders fan. Indeed. Indeed. This really feels different because what? It is different. It's only up from here for the team. Let's go beat the Cards. Why not us? Why not, Frank? Why not us? I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Tony P56, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Tony P56 writes, Cliff not leaving, still getting money, still getting the bag from Arizona. I don't know how long, because he had signed an extension. I think the year he got fired that offseason, he signed an extension. So he probably collecting a check for another year or two from Arizona. But, I mean, I just think he's comfortable doing what he's doing right now. Eventually, he's going to want to be a head coach again, I believe. But, again, that's not something I'm really worried about right now. Let's just, again, enjoy what we got. Understand that if this thing goes the way that it's supposed to go and we're good, that's what's supposed to happen. People are supposed to come picking off of your staff and wanting your stuff because you're good. People want to emulate that. People want what you have. That's what you want. That's what you aspire. We, for years, had staffs nobody wanted. Nobody was interviewing our assistants. Nobody gave a shit about what was going on in Washington. We never heard, hey, such and such got an interview to become a defensive coordinator that was a positional coach here, or such and such has an interview to be a head coach that was a coordinator here. Because we didn't have shit nobody else wanted. I'm looking forward to the day when, damn, we about to lose another coach. But until that day comes, I'm going to just enjoy this right here. Frank Brown, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. My guy Frank writes, so is Joe Witt or the scheme or the players? I like Joe Witt's style. We need more production, better D-line, DB play, and we should be fine. I think it's a combination of a number of things. I don't always love Witt's calls, but he's in a tough spot. You know, what do you do when you can't get pressure, consistent pressure without blitzing? But if you blitz, you got to leave your corners on an island. You leave your corners on the island, they're going to get beat. And now what I am disappointed in is the run scheme and the run game. Like, they got to figure this shit out, man. It hasn't been acceptable. I was going to say satisfactory, but that's putting it too mildly. We're getting gashed in the run game. This shit is unacceptable right now. Unacceptable. But he does need better players. But the best coordinators, and I've said this before, and I get it, it's year one of a new scheme, so it takes time. But the best coordinators make the most of what they've been given. You get a great chef in a kitchen with limited ingredients, and they're still going to make a delicious meal because they know how to find a way to get the best out of the ingredients that they have. Figure it out. Gignac the Big Mac, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Joe Bozo. Look, I love Joe Burrow. Joe's not a bozo, okay? Outdueled by a rook who was checking it down for 2 weeks until that point was on Cliff's training wheels. Joe Frodro, you're not that guy, pal. Lot fundamentally wrong with that particular super chat, but Joe Burrow is that dude. And look, were a lot of Jayden's throws underneath the first 2 weeks? Yeah, a lot of them were. But again, I'm not going to have this conversation with people over and over again. They weren't all underneath throws. Okay. So it is what it is. At the end of the day, 21 of 23 in the game on Monday. And even the game the week prior against the Giants, the Noah Brown throw was down the field. The Zach Ertz throws were down the field. There were plenty of examples of him throwing the ball down the field. So just loving what we're seeing from our guy, JD5. Duncan Wright, thank you for your generosity, gifting a membership. Now, I think I very vividly remember you saying you would gift a membership if something happened. I don't remember what it was, but I appreciate you staying true to your word, and I appreciate your generosity. Shout out to the newest member of the MOBB by way of our guy, Duncan Wright. Welcome to the squad, and thank you so much again for your generosity, Duncan Wright. Tony P56, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Tony P56 writes, a lot of trades from boys in the hood hop back in the car after Monday. and I crashed out on NFL Shop today, bought me and my son JD5 jerseys and more. And there's nothing wrong with that, man. I'm not mad at those who got back in the whip. Hey, scoot over. Watch out, man. I'm about to get in. I told you there's plenty of space. When the time is right and you feel comfortable getting back on board, you know what I'm really like, could you imagine if we beat Arizona, what that home game against Cleveland's going to look like? Are you kidding me? What? I mean, I don't even know if that matters at this point. That game might be live. And it's the Browns. It's not like they got to have this crazy contingent taking over Northwest Stadium. So I don't know, man. That game has a chance to be live, like live. So, yeah, I mean, that game did a lot. I keep trying to explain to y'all just how big of a game that was. So it was a total game changer. That performance was on Monday. And it was largely in part to Jayden's performance and how good he looked, but it was also the head coach believing in his team, believing in his quarterback, his young quarterback making his third NFL start and saying, no, we're going to go win this game on the offensive side of football. And I read a comment from someone who said, you know what was so refreshing was seeing a coach animated on the sidelines, making game-changing decisions and not sitting on his hands and sitting on the sidelines with his arm folded, looking like Bernie from A Weekend at Bernie's, right? And I was like, you know what? You're right. That play, the hug that Terry gave DQ, like, you love that. I love that shit, man. I can't get enough of that. David Brown, thank you for the super chat. And then just the did you see, and a lot of y'all brought this up right after the game. I hadn't seen a lot of the stuff yet. You guys had seen a lot of it. I was live for 5 hours after the game. So a lot of you guys left, came back. Oh shit, you still live, and you watched a lot of that stuff. I hadn't yet. The genuine excitement and jubilation on the face of Terry McLaurin after that game, I was so happy for him. All he wants is an opportunity to prove to everybody how good he is, and he wants to help his team win. And he'll do whatever it takes. If that means 2 catches, 4 targets, he'll do that. But he knows we got a better chance of winning if he's got 9, 10, 11 targets and 8 catches, or the big ones that we saw, the game on the line. He wants that opportunity. Don't think for one second he doesn't see what other guys are doing around the league and the opportunities that they're getting. And that's all he wants, an opportunity to show I'm capable of that too. David Brown, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes? I just want to say again before we get into week 4, we beat Joe Burrow and the Bengals with our rookie quarterback and a 1-year rebuild roster. Let AP cook. Preach, David. Preach. Preach. There's no way you're going to make me feel any less about that performance in that environment on that stage against that team with what they had to have. That quarterback, all of it. They came out and they scored bing, bang, boom on their opening possession. Touchdown. Last year's team, the year before that, the year before that, the year before that would have folded up tent, folded up shop, and went home, and we would have commenced to ass whooping. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Big Money Sonny writes, Lou, I know you'll say pump the brakes, but we making the playoffs. Yeah, hey. What are you doing using that P word around here, man? It's too early for that shit. You know that. You already knew what I was going to say, but you said it anyway. So since you already knew what I was going to say, and you said it anyway, I'm going to say it anyway. You need to pump your brakes and drive slow, homie. Drive slow, homie. But when that happens, I'm dyeing my hair maroon cherry and fading in a cherry squad and mob symbol in my fade while rocking that wild goose. I need a picture of that. If and when that does take place, I need a picture of that. ASAP. Pronto. Zaydu. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Zaydu writes, hope all is well, Lou. Likewise. Jay Allen for JC Horn might be the move, Lou. Also need another big performance from the O-line for them to be consistent. If I'm Carolina, that doesn't make any sense for me, though, right? Because we just paid big money to Derrick Brown. You don't want to be Washington in the sense that you have the most money tied up to the defensive tackle position in the league. Nobody wants to do that. We did that out of necessity. Hey, we didn't have nowhere else to spend our money, and they were really good players. Why not? Right? I remember at one point we were, oh my God, we got all these defensive linemen, former first-round picks. How are we going to pay all of them? And we just paid the 2 defensive tackles. They just paid Derrick Brown big-time money. They're not looking to inherit another contract with big-time money. Again, he only has 1 year left, but still. Not going to happen. But we're going to draft a corner, I believe, this year. Depends on what the biggest need is, where we end up in the draft, all that stuff. Because, if we make the playoffs or we just miss the playoffs, you're going to be out of that tackle range more likely than not. So now you probably have to shift your attention and focus to what's next. And it'll probably be corner, if I had to guess, or edge rusher, one of the two. But as far as the offensive line is concerned, I've liked what I've seen thus far. I know it's a far from a perfect group, and they're going to give up pressures, and they're not going to, look, I'm not telling you that this group is great. I don't want anybody to misconstrue what I'm saying. It's just they're not as bad as you thought they were going to be. And that's the truth of the matter. They're just not as bad as you thought they were going to be. And I'm glad they're not. David Brown, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, David Brown writes, Lou, you should redo your win-loss schedule before week 4 kickoff. Me and my wifey increased our win total by 2. LOL. I'm not fooling around with that, David. I'm gonna leave that alone. I told you, I'm gonna enjoy it. See, what this game did is it forced me to do something that I didn't want to do, which is put expectations on the season. Now I do have expectations. I'm not telling you that they're playoff. I just expect us to be better. Before that game, it was just, hey, just enjoy the ride, bro. What happens, happens. As it goes, we'll react to it. Now I'm going into games like, no. We need to beat them, right? I can't tell you that we're going to finish with 10 wins. And I don't, I already don't like playing the schedule game. That's definitely a before the season thing happens. Once we get in the season, I respect everybody. And I'm like, hey, that team is this, that team is that. And if I think we're better, I'll say it. I used to be a little bit squeamish in saying that because it wasn't different then. So you got to be careful. I don't want to jinx it, right? That's not the type of time I'm on no more. I'm not afraid of jinxing anything. I'm not afraid of, if I say this, it might, backfire on me. Nah, I'm confident now. I'm outside now. I don't got to hide no more. Like those Commander fans that all of a sudden showed up yesterday that hadn't wore their gear in 6 years. They outside now. So am I. I've been outside though. But I'm not running from nothing. But I don't do the schedule thing. I don't like to play that game because when you do that, you lose respect for your opponents, I feel. Take them one at a time. When you start overlooking teams, we should beat them. We should beat them. I'm going to tell you we should beat them the week that we're playing them. I don't want to tell you, hey, we should beat Carolina. I know we should, but we'll worry about Carolina when we get to Carolina. We could be a different team. They could be a different team. Let's focus on Arizona right now. That's what I'm on. Then when we're done with them, I'm going to tell you Cleveland is trash. We should beat them. But we'll talk about Cleveland when we get to Cleveland. If we beat Arizona, I'm turning up for 3 whole days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And once we hit Wednesday, all right, time to talk about Cleveland. Rinse and repeat. Right? Wash, rinse, and repeat. Do it again. That's the hope. So the question for me is now, if you increased your total by 2, what was the total prior? That'll tell me how you really feel. What's the new total? And Mario Delsit, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes? Lou, I hate the media, all the hype they were saying about Caleb over JD5. Now they're making excuses. To be honest, not fair for both quarterbacks. Excuse me. I kind of know what you're talking about. I told you I've consumed just about everything. So it ain't almost nothing that's been said on the internet that I haven't watched. I think I've watched almost everything. One of the funniest things I heard, but I get it because I kind of feel the same way, but you got to word it correctly, because if you don't, you sound crazy saying it. Chris Sims was talking about how Caleb, doesn't have the same supporting cast as Washington. And I knew what he was saying, but just at face value, hearing that, you're like, what, bruh? Man, get the hell out of here with that shit. Just 2 weeks ago, we ain't had no receivers. Tight ends weren't good enough. Offensive line is trash. I'm not sure about Cliff Kingsbury as a play caller. All of this existed 3 weeks ago. And meanwhile, the Bears have done everything. They've invested in the offensive line. They went out and signed DeAndre Swift. They traded for Keenan Allen. They drafted Roma Dunze. They extended DJ Moore. They got Cole Kmet at tight end. They're loaded. The defense is extraordinary. Now, all of a sudden, he isn't surrounded. But he was really saying play calling is shit. The run game is trash. The O-line is garbage. And they're not giving him enough. And I said this on the podcast, and I've talked about this. There are guys that wanted Justin Fields there. Most notably, DJ Moore. And DJ Moore is frustrated. So there's a lot going on over there. Not my problem. Not my problem. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Big Money Sonny, writes, Cliff outside banging Joe Rockhead's favorite Mike Jones song. Back then, they didn't want me. Now I'm hot. They all on me. I said, let's get it, Lou. Joe Rockhead, he's never going to allow you to live that down. I hope you know that. Every chance he gets. Video channel, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Video channel writes, Lou, my post on the way tonight. Okay. All right. I'll be here. I ain't going nowhere. Jamal Hamlin, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, double up. I think that's a double up for you too. Lou, I told my son in the preseason, concerned about our run defense. He thought I was talking about our run game. I was us stopping the run, LOL. You had the foresight, because I didn't see this coming, man. I didn't. If you ask me the thing that I'm most surprised by right now, it's our inability to stop the run. I am flummoxed by how easy it is to run the ball against us, because we've never had this type of problem. There have been years where you go, if the game's on the line and we need to stop the run, watch us not be able to stop it. But it ain't never been like this, where you're getting gashed by every Joe Schmo and every garbage team and every team with no running back, or running game, and they're making it look easy. I mean, if Cincinnati wanted to, they could have just kept running the football. We weren't stopping it. We weren't stopping it. Moss had a good day. Brown had a good day. They could have just kept running it. I don't think we've given up a 100-yard rusher yet, but the average is crazy, right? Because they're just not running it enough. The average is crazy. Bucky Irving had probably averaging 6 or 7 yards a pop. I know Singletary was averaging over 5, because he was at 95 on 19, or 95 on, I think it was 16 carries. So he's averaging over 5 a pop. And then I don't know exactly what the numbers were for Brown and Moss. Brown was over 6 yards a carry, I would guess, because he didn't have as many, but everyone it seemed like he had was 7, 8, 12, 18 yards. So I'm going to say Brown was up over 6 and Moss was probably up over 4. So I don't know how much it is, but it ain't good. And eventually we're going to actually see teams that are going to stay dedicated to the run and just like, oh, you can't stop this shit? All right, heavy dose. Like the Ravens? Oh, you can't stop Derrick Henry? Heavy dose. They better get that shit together. I'm glad. I hope we're getting the Browns before they get back. And I haven't heard anything about his return, but I know we will get them after the 4-week IR window. But I'm glad we're getting them before Chubb comes back. I don't know when he's coming back, but I'm glad we get him out the way before he comes back because I don't want any parts of any shit that looks like that right now with the way we playing football. And who knows? They're running situation. They might still gobble our ass up on the ground with the way we stopping the run right now or not stopping it. So you were out in front of that, Jamal, because I didn't see the shit coming. I ain't even gonna front. Gignac, the Big Mac. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Gignac writes, I'm glad our guy is showing growth and dispelling some preconceived notions I had about him. But as a wise man once said, this was nice. Do it again. Facts. Big facts. It was nice. Do it again. And then again, because in this league, consistency is what ultimately separates you from the rest. Look, we've seen quarterbacks play. Sam Darnold just had a 4-touchdown game and still didn't win NFC Player of the Week, Offensive Player of the Week. You know why he didn't? Because for the 3rd straight week, somebody in Washington has taken home some form of hardware in terms of NFL weekly honors. Week 1, Jayden Daniels was the Pepsi Offensive Rookie of the Week. Week 2, Austin Seibert was the NFC Special Teams Player of the Week. Week 3, Jayden Daniels won NFC Offensive Player of the Week. Consistency is what separates you. Do it again. I'm with you, Gignac. Zaydu, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Who writes, if we go on a win streak, hopefully it might look like a recalibration rather than a rebuild. We'll see, man. They might have been right with the wording, right? They might prove all of us wrong because I know I was mocking them, recalibration, finding our north, right? Like, bro, we know what it is. We know what this is. But they did the right thing by not calling it a rebuild, though, because there's a negative connotation attached to a rebuild. That a rebuild, in effect, says you have no shot. You have no chance. They wanted no parts of that. And I can respect that. Video channel. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for your generosity. Video channel. Double up. My guy, video channel, writes, pulled 50 hours in Cincy. Okay, so this is the debrief, right? This is the debriefing right here we talked about. Pulled 50 hours in Cincy. Went to the same steak dinner spot as the Commanders and Bengals on Sunday. Kicked it with Jamar Pops at a cigar bar for hours. At the game, Bengals fans showed me so much love. I talked that ish in 6 different sections. PT on the way. See, that's how you go in there and get all of the intel that you need to come out victorious, right? This wasn't a fly in, fly out mission. Fly in, leave the airport, hit the hotel, go to the game, go back to the hotel and leave. This man went deep undercover and then went to the game. And after they thought he was good people's, realized, oh shit, he's an ops. Too late now. Got him. You're going to be one of the best operatives, video channel. Video channel continues. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My God, video channel. Once again, thank you so much for the support. Right. Seeing JD5 in person was wild. Kid looked sharp and the release is quick. Very proud of all of them. Then I lost my phone and it was recovered. A lot of love outside the stadium. Cincy was dope and I brought home the dub. I'm so glad you enjoyed yourself, right? You know what the #1 mission is. You accomplished and achieved that. But the next thing after that is have a good time. Have a good time. And you sound like you enjoyed yourself thoroughly. Doesn't get much better than that. Complete the first mission, the main op. And then after that, you can do whatever you can do whatever you like. Yeah. That's how you do it. Hell of a job, video channel. Hey, everybody. Give it up for video channel for going in and retrieving the dub and bringing it back home in such epic fashion. Amaro Delsic, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Amaro writes, Lou, I'm sure AP is scouting corners and DNs on the draft plus free. I'm pretty sure that I don't think he started that process yet. It's early. He's focused in on the season. They're locked in on this team, its needs, what's going on around the league, what's on the waiver wire, who's on what practice squad, worried about our roster, seeing how you have to adjust and adapt. So I don't think he's looking at that stuff yet. But they got scouts for that. That's why you pay scouts, right? You got area scouts out at these different universities in these different regions of the country, watching these games, meeting with staff members and some of these players. So they're on it, but AP himself isn't on that stuff yet. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Metaphor writes, NFC Offensive Player of the Week. NFC Offensive Player of the Week, check. Pepsi Rookie, check. Offensive Rookie of the Year, check. MVP, check. So you got a couple of boxes checked there that we haven't actually checked off yet. All right. But I like where your head is at. MVP is crazy talk for me. It's crazy. Rookies don't win MVP of the league. But Offensive Rookie of the Year, I feel really good about that one. Feel really good about that one for sure. GT7, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. GT7 writes, Kimes is now sweating JD5 and Cliff. I stopped listening. I'm assuming you're talking about Mina Kimes. I stopped listening to her when she said that Dan Quinn was on the hot seat. Once she said that, she lost all credibility with me. I'm like, okay. I thought you was one of them ones, Mina, but you really ain't. You ain't. So I ain't checked her out since then. Honestly, I'm gonna keep it a bean with you. I haven't heard one word uttered out of Mina Kimes' mouth since then. Was that a bit drastic on my end? Maybe, but I don't know what it is about her, but something about her just is off with me for some reason. I don't know. So I guess I was looking for a reason. She gave it to me and I was out. Duncan Wright, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Duncan. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, look, Lou, I'm not here to be your buddy or beating you gifts. Uh-oh. We're still doing well. Let's just continue with this comment and see what it does here. I'm here to enjoy myself with you. Losing, and right now I'm not enjoying myself. You need to lose. Okay, see, the rest of the comment was fine. I'm just gonna tell you like this, Duncan. Things are changing. Things are changing, my friend. And it might not be safe for you. If you're coming here looking for L's, Things might be changing just a bit. Just a bit. But we'll see. We will see. I got a feeling. Ooh, ooh. You might be very disappointed. Lang Hills, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, was always confident he'd add scramble throws because of his work ethic, but not this soon. Stroud/Lamar combo is truly his ceiling. I am amazed at all of the things that he does well, all of the things that are currently in his bag. Because usually you do this really well, but you don't do this. You do this really well, but you don't have this capability, right? Like you don't get everything. Excuse me. This kid has the chance to be blessed with everything. He's got size. So unlike Kyler Murray, who can't see over the offensive line, he's got size. Right? Nope, not the biggest guy in the world. And maybe that's the one thing he didn't get blessed with, but that's fine. You can survive in this league without it. That's what a lot of people are. I don't want him to get hit. But he's a football player. But he got height. He's got arm talent. Quick release. He's got wheels. He's got the mental capacity to process quickly, see it, get rid of it. He has the ability to throw the deep ball and throw it accurately, as we saw. He can throw the intermediate. He can throw short. He can throw with touch. He can laser it in there if he needs to. He takes care of the football. He's not putting the ball in harm's way. Like normally, there's something you're like, all right, I got to take, like, there are concessions that have to be made. Okay, he's not this, right? He's not this. Like Jalen Hurts, he doesn't have a strong arm. Like that's a concession. You got to take that. Peyton Manning did not have a strong arm. He knew that, which is why he had to be on time with the deep ball. I can't let Marvin Harrison run 40 yards down the field and then cut it loose. My arm's not strong enough for that shit. So when Marvin gets even at 22 yards, I got to let that bitch go now. Lamar's got some of the most elite wheels we've ever seen, but he doesn't have the accuracy, right? He's not always accurate with the football. Deep ball is trash, if you ask me, right? He's blessed with so many things, but he's still missing other, aspects of his game. It's rare that you got everything. Like Mahomes, he's got everything. He can run. He can throw from the pocket, outside the pocket. He can make things happen when the play breaks down. Like, if there's one flaw to Mahomes is he's going to turn it over, right? He's going to turn it over. If there's one drawback to Patrick Mahomes, you can get some turnovers from Mahomes. CJ Stroud is excellent. He doesn't turn it over. He's super accurate, quick release, cerebral. He's not, don't have the best set of wheels, though. He don't really have no wheels. Our guy has almost everything. Now it's just about maximizing all of those different avenues, getting them to where you need them to be. And like you said, I didn't know if he was going to develop the ability to throw the ball outside the pocket, and I still need to see more of it. But like you said, knock my socks off because I wasn't expecting it. Again, from week 1 to week 3 to see the growth that is taking place in just a short 3 weeks. I mean, that is mind-numbing, right? Mind-boggling. I'm stunned. Infamous 2K. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Infamous writes, these 3 weeks, especially last night, proves Winning fixes all. No one cared about what our team name is. No one cared about if our jerseys are ugly or not. Winning changes a lot. It feels different because it is different. Because it is. I've said that, and you've heard this old adage, and it's old and it's stood the test of time because it's true. Winning is the best deodorant. There's a lot of things that may stink around the organization. You win enough games, and that stench goes away, right? You win a game, that's one swipe. You win another game, that's another swipe. You win another game, it's another swipe. You win another game, and it's another swipe. And next thing you know, hey, you're not musty anymore. And that smell that's been permeating the NFL for the last 25 years, we don't smell that stench coming from Washington anymore. Now it's a whole different odor called winning. Everybody loves that smell. Everybody loves that smell. Problem is we haven't had enough of it around here. So while you may win here and there, it ain't enough to cover up the stench that's been permeating this league for 25 years. But it's a new day. Shit's different. That's 2 in a row. That was a big one. Starting to smell a little better around here. Maybe a little different too. Can we keep it up? We'll see. But one thing's for sure. You start winning and you show signs of life, and now you have a star quarterback. Changes a lot. Changes the narrative. It changes the perspective. So again, we'll see. Tony P56, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Tony P writes, everybody about to adopt the VR simulator now. You know, that was the first time I'd ever heard of it, you know, when he talked about using it at LSU. We'll see. You know, technology is king and it's the future. And so, like, look, if I'm pretty sure quarterbacks are already using it. He wasn't the first one, right? He's just the first one that I heard of. I'm pretty sure other guys are using it. But it's going to be the way that, you know, these new upcoming kids train. I'm pretty sure of it, you know, and I'm about whatever works. That VR simulator might not work for everybody. It didn't work for Lightning McQueen, right? He needed to get his tires dirty. Shit don't work for everybody, but if it's working for Jayden, I'm all for it. Abdella, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Abdella writes, I don't know what it is, Louie, but Terry just gives off prime Santonio Holmes vibes when he catches those touchdown passes. Looks acrobatic. We got to put respect on his name and retire him as a commander. He is special. He's not going anywhere. He, of all the guys that got the extensions, him, Duran, John, Sam, I don't think Sam's going anywhere either, but those three in particular, because they got it from the last group. They were the ones that got it from the last group. He's the one that looks like he's getting another one from this group right now. I'm not giving up on Duran. John is the one where I'm like, I love the rah-rah speeches. I really do, man. Before the game, love it. Keep it up. They're excellent. But if you ask me to pick one of the three that could go now, I'm like, yeah, take 93. But I don't want anybody gone. And I really think those guys are going to ultimately be really good for us. But, you know, obviously, you'd rather it happen sooner rather than later, but it's taking some time. And I'm patient. I'm willing to be patient. I know not everybody is. I'm willing to be patient. But Terry isn't going anywhere. I can assure you of that. Of the three, that's the one I would put any amount of money on. He's not going anywhere. Period. Amero Delcit, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Amero, writes, Lou, this season going crazy with me. He said, with the L and the dubs, just excited. Me, where we and the rest of the teams will end up. And either way, I don't know. We growing is fun. I told you this season was going to be fun if you just allow it to be what it is. Right. I'm not going to lie to you. And I said this at the top of the show. And I said this yesterday and the day before that after the game. Expectations have changed for me. I had no expectations. Now there are expectations. I haven't set the expectations like, hey, we got to win 10 games. Like I haven't set a hard line, but there will be games, there will be weeks if the play continues that I'll say, no, we should win this week. And if we don't, I will be disappointed. And I was trying to guard against being disappointed. Like I was disappointed in week 1. Why? Because I expected us to play better. I expected the defense to play better. I would have been disappointed had we not beaten the Giants because I expected to beat the Giants. I had no expectations going into the Bengals game. Just don't embarrass me. That was it. That was the only requirement. They far exceeded my expectations. I have no expectations going into this Cardinals game. They lose, I'm not going to be upset, mad, throwing stuff. None of that. They win, I'm going to be elated, and I'm going to be like, oh, my God. This shit has a chance to be a lot different than I thought. That's 3 in a row. And we're going home, and the Browns await, and I like our chances in that game as well. And at some point, Vegas will say, you know what? All right, we're going to stop making you an underdog, And then how do you handle that? And, I think that's something else different, too. And I tell you, it feels different because it is different. In the past, we didn't know how to handle success. Our coaching staff wasn't good enough at making sure that the players understood. Like DQ said, we're not riding that roller coaster. He said, we're not buying no tickets to that roller coaster after we won on Sunday or Monday, excuse me. They flew out to Arizona. He said, roller coasters are fun as hell, but we ain't trying to get on. We playing good football. We feel good about what we just did, and we trying to keep that party going. We're not doing this shit. We want to stay right here. We up here? Let's stay up here. I think this group is going to do a better job of policing what's going on outside and blocking out the noise and focusing on the task at hand and saying, hey, that shit was cool. Like, it's easy to lose. Let us lose our mind after the performance on Monday. Let us lose our minds. We're doing it. I'm guilty as charged. Y'all don't worry about that. Y'all worry about beating Arizona. Let us lose our shit. I think this group is going to make sure that the players stay grounded and understand the task at hand. All right, that was great, but that's just one of 17. Let's go get another one. Let's go get another one. Let's put another one in the left-hand column. Let's put another one in the left-hand column. It's a lot of fun. Winning is fun. Winning is fun. No doubt about that. Abdallah, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Abdallah, who writes, it seems almost a shame we can't do nothing about these corners. Can we do anything for hell at all? Please, I just want one good corner before the deadline. That's all this team can be special. That's all this team needs. This team needs more than just a corner, Abdallah. It would help a lot if you had one guy that could cover. But look, we are what we are. Look, this year is, again, house money. All right. And I get it. Every year is different. You want to take advantage of a season. They didn't see this coming and all of that good stuff. But we're not good enough defensively. Even if we got a corner, we still don't get pressure on the quarterback. Right now, we can't stop the run. We're not a good tackling team. There's things that are fundamentally wrong here. And one corner isn't going to solve all of those things. So, while I hear you, I don't see anything. Now, again, circumstances changes things. You get to the trade deadline and we're 7-1. Oh, you know what? Adam Peters might go, yeah, we could use a corner. Let's do it. but we're not going to be 7-1 the trade deadline, right? So you just let the season go the way that it goes, and then after it's done, then you start making moves because you know what you have at this point. Jamal Hamlin, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Jamal, writes, Lou, there's a Brown versus Brown position battle taking place, and I love it. I'm hyped, though. Wanted to wear a B&G suit at a wedding. No go with the wifey. LOL. Yeah, you was tripping. Your wife had to shut that shit down. Like, bro, we're not doing that. We are not doing that. I love it, right? I don't even know if there's truly a battle. I mean, Noah Brown's taking this. I mean, he's the number 2 receiver as far as I'm concerned. You know, McCaffrey's your 3rd receiver, and then Diami's in there as 4. I'm shocked OZ hasn't gotten more, run, but it is what it is. He's probably exactly where he's supposed to be. But you love seeing the growth of the roster, right? You love seeing it. Frank McLaughlin, my guy, Frankie, baby. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Aloha, Frank. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, Lou, aloha. Aloha, Frank. Think about what triggered this all. The sale to Mr. Harris. I thank God every day for that. Cheers. Cheers. Remember that fateful day. We celebrated like there was no tomorrow. I remember that like it was yesterday, July 20th. And there were 2 celebrations. The day we found out that the sale was going to happen, and then the day that the sale was complete. And that day that the sale was complete, it felt like this black cloud that had hovered over this organization and this fan base for far too long had suddenly just been removed. And we had not seen sun in decades, and the sun was shining on us. And it was this remarkable feeling. And I knew at that point that was the beginning of what was to come. And I didn't know we were going to get Adam Peters and Dan Quinn and, Jayden Daniels and all of these, things that have happened and transpired since then. But I knew that was the start. That was the foundation being built for the turnaround, for us to be a proud franchise again. And you're seeing us take steps in that direction, and it's so refreshing. I told you, that was, I think, the buzzword of the offseason for me. Refreshing, right? I kept saying that over. Like, not being in the headlines for anything negative. Soon as anything happened with Brandon McManus, cut him, right? Because that's not who we are anymore. We're trying to change the narrative. We can't have that attached to us. Cut him. So, yeah, getting Josh Harris and that ownership group in here was franchise altering. And without that, there's no this. And I remember people wanting Bezos to buy the team. I'm so glad Josh Harris won the bid and got the team. Perfect guy for the job, similar to Dan Quinn, right? Royal Scat Pack. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Royal Scat Pack writes, Allen and a 3rd for Hassan Reddick, then plug Johnny in at defensive tackle. Hassan Reddick is holding out because he wants to be paid. Are you going to pay Hassan Reddick? I don't know if there's a rule against trading a guy twice. Like, they traded for him. Can you then trade him again? He hasn't even played a snap for them. I don't know if there's a rule against that or not. Like, in the NBA, you can trade a guy 15 times, and then the last team cuts him and dumps his salary, right? That doesn't happen in the NFL. So I don't know. I don't know if there's a rule against that or not, but I'd take Hassan Reddick. I know that much. I'd take him in a heartbeat, but How much is he looking for? You remember, he's an older guy. Like, I don't know if that kind of fits what they're looking for, but I'd take Hassan Reddick in a heartbeat. Molester. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Molester. I had to look at your thumbnail first. Okay. He says, thought Dan Quinn defense was supposed to be attacking and creating turnovers. Feels like Jack Del Rio is still the DC. I don't know how much of this is Dan Quinn's defense. I think the mindset, how you attack, how you play is Dan Quinn's. I don't think the scheme and how they're attacking is Dan Quinn. He's letting Joe Witt be his coordinator. So I think we have to move away from this thought that, oh, this is Dan Quinn's defense. No, this is Joe Witt's defense. So I'm gonna let Joe do his thing. You know, it hasn't been pretty, but this is his first time, and he's trying to figure out how to utilize these parts. And you know, sometimes you get somewhere and you think, okay, I know these parts work, and now I got to worry about this. And then you get here, and the parts that you thought work don't work, and now you got to figure out other things. So he's still kind of shuffling the deck, trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. Abdallah, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Abdallah writes, I know we need a lot more pieces, Lou. I just want to shore up a portion of the defense to at least keep offenses at bay. But I see what you're saying. And I get what you're saying, too. It goes both ways. Like, if we had one corner, like, again, if you could put Benjamin St. Juste as the second corner and had one corner that could play, it could change a lot of things fundamentally in the secondary. But where are you going to get a guy like that at a time like this? Nobody's giving away good corners. That's not how this works. You know, those are tough to come by. And if you can draft one, it all the better, because they cost a lot. They cost a whole hell of a lot. Them and edge rushers. So if you can draft one, more power to you. Abdallah, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Abdallah writes, we got to give Terry go balls catches a name. The scary catch or something. He just gets in the end zone sometimes. Credible. I mean, man, those catches were great. And he tracks the ball so well. I mean, the first one was legit over the shoulder. The second one was crazy because Dax Hill was there early. If you watch the play, he's grabbing on his arm, tugging it down as the ball's falling into his arm, and he still corrals it and survives the ground with it. On the first one, he's catching it, and the ball tries to squirt out a little bit, and Terry's like, oh, no, you don't. All right, I ain't had one of these bitches all year. I barely got him last year. No, the hell you do not. You are not squeezing out of my arm, buddy. And he squeezed the shit out of that ball and rolled over to make sure he got that catch. He's incredible, man. I was so happy for him. I really, truly was. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on this installment of Commanders Nightly News. Had a blast chopping it up with you guys. I'm so excited, as you can tell. Everything has changed. What a week it has been, but we got to turn our attention to Arizona. If you're a member of the mob, we're going to do the film tomorrow. I ain't got it in me tonight. So what we'll end up doing is we'll do it tomorrow during the day. We'll jump in, knock that out probably somewhere in that 2 o'clock range tomorrow, before the podcast. So it'll be 1, 2, somewhere in that neighborhood in the afternoon. And we'll knock the film out and get prepared for CNN and the podcast and all that good jazz. Got Thursday Night Football. I want to be front and center for that game. Giants, Cowboys, family business. You know how we do it, right? So if you're a mob member, we will watch the film tomorrow because I'm dying to watch that film. I have not watched it yet, and I'm saving it for y'all. I don't want to watch it beforehand. I want to watch it with y'all and be surprised at what's happening for the first time with you guys. So we're gonna watch it. This is too good to not watch. We have to watch it, so we're gonna do it tomorrow. All right. Abdallah, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Breaking news. Abdallah just reported Jalen Hurts has just thrown another red zone pick. We can't make this stuff up. Jalen Hurts picked off in the red zone again. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, I digress. C-Trail says, I just called off work to watch the All 22. Damn it. All right, man. We're going to do it tonight. Don't worry about it. We're going to knock it out tonight. Give me about 15 minutes. Make me some tea. Get comfortable. I've already taken my bath, so I'm good. We'll knock it out tonight. You convince me. I'm a man of the people. All right. Anyway, I digress. Y'all get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your evening. If you're a member of the mob, I'm going to throw up the stream, and we'll get into the All 22s here in about 15 minutes or so. You convinced me, C-Trail. See you guys in a little bit. Y'all know what it is. Take care. God bless. Good night.